Hey tappers. So there's been a lot of discussion lately in our community about overwhelm. And I want to show you some things, just refresh your memory on how you can tap on overwhelm if you're trying to start to tap on it and the setup statement isn't working for you. These are two things that you can do before the setup statement. Now, for those of you who are wondering what the setup statement is, that's when we start tapping and we say, even though we insert the issue, I deeply and completely accept myself. Sometimes when we're in overwhelm, that isn't even possible because the thing is too big to even address. We're already oversaturated with emotion. So the idea when you're in that space is to create distance so that your brain can look at it more objectively rather than respond to it in a survival type manner. The first way to do this is by if. We're going to talk about if I were to think about it and reinsert, I'm not actually thinking about it. I'm not addressing it. But if I were, I wonder. I have this thing that I want to deal with, but it's too big and I can't even begin to talk about it. So I'm not going to talk about it, but I wonder if I were to think about it, I wonder how much would that upset me on a scale of 0 to 10? Oh, definitely a 10, like over a 10, but I'll say 10. Okay. Even though if I were to think about this, which I'm not, but if I were, it would upset me at a 10. I deeply and completely accept myself. And then at this point, you go from that being your foundation and starting to release it using other techniques like chasing the pain. So you would say, I would feel it at a 10. Well, I wonder, how do I know that? Well, I feel it in my body. Where do I feel it in my body? Well, if I were to think about it, I believe I would feel it in my body here. And then you can start to release those emotions by completely sidestepping, directly dealing with what's bothering you. Number 2, this gives you a little bit more structure and a lot of visualization for supports as you create that barrier. It's called the box technique. Well, what you do essentially is you put the issue in a box. Now, the box does not have to be like a cardboard little box, right? It can be anything. What we're looking to do is to empower you by using dissociation. We're putting distance between you and the thing, okay? You can do this by putting it in a 3 thick walled steel safe. And then you're going to bury that at the bottom of the ocean, or you're going to throw it through a portal into a different dimension. You're going to send it out into deep space and it's going to go into a black hole. Whatever you need to where you feel that click in your body where you go, because as long as that issue feels like it's swirling inside of you, it's hovering over you, that it has control over what your environment is, then you're going to be triggered into a survival state and tapping on it isn't going to be effective yet. So first, find a place, find a way that you can separate yourself from it. Now, if you try this and you just can't make a box big enough, or you don't feel like you're strong enough to put it in the box, it's just stronger than you are, then you remove yourself. You create that same distance by saying, okay, I'm going to create a portal for me to go through, and it's only going to be big enough for me. That's not going to be able to fit. So I'm going to go to a dimension that's safe where this doesn't exist. Or I'm going to put myself on a different planet. Or I'm going to put myself in this imaginary place that only I know about, only I know how to get to it. I'm going to put myself in this armor. I'm going to put myself in this fortress. Whatever it is, again, that you can conjure up in your imagination when you go, because that's what your subconscious brain is looking for. And remember, it doesn't deal in logic, so it doesn't care if it's real. It only cares that it gets that message of, we don't need to panic about this right now. It's okay for us to relax. Here's what the box technique can look like. Even though I have this thing that feels so oppressive right now and so big and so scary, I'm going to put it in a box. And this box is going to be a giant humpback whale. And it's going to leap out of the water and it's going to swallow it whole. And then it's going to dive down deep, deep, deep down into the ocean, down into the deepest, darkest parts. And it's going to find these caves that are windy and tricky to navigate. And the thing that it's in its mouth, it won't even know where it is. And the whale's going to spit it out in this deep, deep, dark cavern that's underwater. And then this cavern is guarded by these deep sea creatures that are looking for something like this issue to feed on. So this issue is going to be scared and it's going to hide in the cave because otherwise it's going to get devoured by these deep sea creatures. anything like that, any type of narrative where, again, you just feel that. And then once it's there, we tap to create other empowerment. Well, now it's trapped. It's trapped and I am free. And I can leave it there. I can leave it there until I am dust on the earth. I never have to think about it. I never have to deal with it. I never have to process it because it can't touch me anymore. And that gives you another level of like, oh, yeah. And then you can continue. But I wonder, will that make me feel the way that I want to feel? Or would releasing it, destroying it, help? And I can't face it 100%. I don't want to do that. But what if? What if I had the ability to deal with it at 3% at a time? No, 3% is too much. Okay, what about 0.5%? What if I dealt with it at 0.5%? Well, how would I even do that? And then you can move into other techniques such as chasing the pain. Well, where would I feel the 0.5% of it in my body? And what does that feel like? And then you switch to chasing the pain to then release that, gain that bit of empowerment. And then you can move on to doing another 0.5%, doing a little bit more if you feel more empowered for that, to allow you to reach a place until you can face it more head on and it not feel too big or too scary or overwhelming for you. I hope that this helps you. I'm thinking about you, and I will see you soon.